How's things going at the moment for you, just for today? Reasonable? Comfortable enough? Digesting ideas, new experiences? Forbidden knowledge, right, we'll do that later on though. Harry's alluded to a thing quite a lot today called model of the world, and how we all seem to live in our own model, and then when you get rapport with someone else you kind of go into their model, and there's a sharing of stuff. This idea of a model of the world, it's part of the operating beliefs of NLP. Now, are these beliefs true? Or are there something that have been made up? Yes and no. Harry mentioned something right at the start of the day, and I don't know if he's remembering that now. He mentioned some stuff about philosophy and being acting as philosophers. One of the most famous philosophers is Socrates, Greek guy, 400 years before Christ, if you believe that. And one of the things Socrates was very, very famous for was questioning people in the market, the agora. He was one of these, kind of a cat weasel of his day. He used to go up to people and ask them about their beliefs, their values. In his school of philosophy, although he never wrote anything, before you were born, you were like a soul, whatever that means. A soul. Not like a shoe soul, like a soul, an angel, a spirit. Something nice from heaven. And that had all the knowledge in the world, knew everything. And then at some point, I reckon he was making this up, but he acted as though it was true, but hey, who knows. At some point, that soul came into a human body. And then it forgot everything. And Socrates, one of the ways he's lived his life, was used to go up to people and ask them about their beliefs, their values, in an attempt to draw out that knowledge. So Socrates, if you think about it, he's very, very famous for attempting to get people to look at things from different perspectives. He asked questions like, how do you know? How is that true? We had this idea that beliefs and values were of interest and these were to be discovered from people. Now, if you take these operating beliefs to be true, because we say so, I think I invite you to consider that as a dumbass thing to do. In no uncertain terms, do not take our words for these things. What I'm going to invite you to do in a little bit is to check these out for yourself. Are these useful? Are these true? Or, if you act as if they're true, what sort of useful things can come out of it? I want to do that in a little bit. I want to read you something. Has anyone ever been to the Lake District? It's fantastic. You can go off and drive down the A69, get off and out that way, along cross over the country, and then turn in, go down, and you're basically in Penrith. There's a place there called Reged. It's like the Discovery Centre. It's one of the first places to have a very fancy and oddly enough, that's above a petrol station, so I like the eco-balance. If you go to there's a thing called an IMAX cinema. Massive. It's one of the, they're supposed to be the biggest cinemas in Europe. They're brilliant. It's like a cinema the size of 2 double-decker buses. If you ever get the chance to go there, there's a film they show called Everest, where you see some people that basically went on an expedition, and it was all filmed to do an IMAX thing. I think it was maybe 1996, 97. Of that time when they were filming, those people that went out and got that film done, the day before they lost a lot of people, they died. It was a really bad, it's like bad weather, avalanche, bad luck for people climbing Everest. And yet they still went out and filmed it. There's a couple of guys, I don't know if you've seen the film. Has anyone seen a film about mountaineering? It's called Into the Void. This is amazing. There's 2 guys, Simon Yates and Joe Simpson, experienced mountaineers, done a lot of stuff, and they've decided, this is a man thing, could be a woman thing, the mountain's there, let's climb it, don't know, but they decided to go climb this mountain in the Andes in Perugia, so Southern America. Now the mountain had been climbed before, but there was one face that had never been climbed, and the 2 of them went out on this expedition, got the idea in their head, let's go do it. And they got to the top, everything's safe, brilliant. But on the way down, their gas cooker that they used to melt the snow to drink to survive runs out of gas. And to put another nail in the coffin, as it were, the weather closes in. And one guy, Simon, he's sort of belaying this other guy, and Joe slips off down an ice sheet, breaks his leg. Not fatal, but now they've got a problem. They're sort of 3,000 feet below the first camp, and they need to get down. The weather's closing in. So what one guy does is he sort of digs a hole and tries to belay his friend down to save his life. But they've only got a few lengths of rope, and they knot a couple together to get a 300-foot length. And he's letting this guy down. And the guy goes over the edge of a crevasse, and he's just hanging there. And there's this one guy thinking, shit, what the hell's happened? And he holds him for as long as he can. Records say it's an hour. Imagine holding someone and freezing cold. That's your friend for an hour, someone you've known for most of your life, that you trust. And at the end, they start to slide, and he's thinking, shit, in no uncertain terms. And after a while, he makes a decision that because this is pulling, there's no way my mate can be safe somewhere. It's him or me. And cuts the rope. And this guy, having cut the rope, descends down the mountain to the base camp safely. The miraculous thing that happens is, this guy Joe Simpson, he drops 100 feet, lands on an ice bridge, and still alive. But the weather's closing in. He's got no provisions. He's got what he's got on him, which is basically nothing, a length of cut rope. He fastens it to somewhere with his broken leg and his now severely damaged back, having dropped 100 foot onto an ice bridge, and lowers himself down another 100 foot into a crevasse, where he gets trapped for a bit of time. Now, God knows what's going through this guy's mind right now, but he does not give up. He keeps going, and he pulls himself, crawls along this crevasse back onto the side of the mountain, and he takes another 2 days to crawl back to the base camp, and he makes it. Just at the time his friend was about to leave. Now, this guy that was cut off, as it were, he says to this day his friend made the right decision. But there's a lot of people in the mountaineering world say, Jesus, you shouldn't have done that. I mean, even though it was starting to pull you out, there must have been something else you could have done. Must have been. Must have been. One of the operating beliefs, if you like, of NLP is people make the best decisions they can at the time. So if you pop yourself into Simon Yates's shoes with his friend hanging over the edge, being pulled along, not wanting to go over the edge yourself, to what would certainly be certain death, do you cut the rope? Who knows? You've never been in that position. What about that guy, though, that fell onto a bridge of ice with a broken leg, done himself more physical damage, and managed to haul his horse for 2.5 days crawling, severely frostbitten, to a base camp to save his life? There was another operating belief that says people have, all of the resources they need in some given context. Now, the idea of these operating beliefs are operational beliefs, right? The invitation is now for you to have a look at these